SEO is going through what's probably the biggest shift since Google launched. And traditional rankings and clicks don't really matter in the same way anymore. Now it's AI models deciding which answers to surface. This is called AI SEO, and in my current 5-figure client project, it's powered by automation and custom-built AI systems. I've worked in content marketing and SEO for over a decade, and I've never seen a change this disruptive. And most SEO workflows are still stuck deep in the old playbook. So in this video, I'm going to show you 2 of the systems I use, one in make.com and one in Claude projects, and exactly how they remove bottlenecks to make AI SEO scalable. Before I show you the systems, let's quickly define what AI SEO actually means and why it matters. AI SEO is all about making sure that your content and your brand show up inside AI-generated answers. So traditional SEO was all about rankings and clicks, but AI SEO is about prompts and outputs. And if the models don't surface your content and don't mention your brand, then you are going to stay invisible. And some people call this answer engine optimization or LLM SEO, or I think generative engine optimization as well. So they still haven't settled on a distinct name for it. But the idea is the same no matter what. Your visibility in these platforms depends on whether the models recognize and use your content. Okay, so here's a real example. I went into ChatGPT and I asked it, who is Samantha North? As you can see here, if you squint at the citations here, every part of the answer actually came from my own website, samanthanorth.com. I think that's really interesting because it shows how much influence you can have still if you have the right setup. AI models do not just pull from big platforms. They're going to use content from niche sites if they can tell that it's clear, structured, and consistent, and also relevant. And what could be more relevant to a search for who is Samantha North than the website samanthanorth.com, which I have total control over. So this is the shift in action. In the past, you competed for 10 rankings on page 1 of Google, but today you're competing for visibility in AI model outputs. And if you take the right approach, like I've done here, you can shape what the models say about you. Getting your content into AI answers is possible, and I just showed you an example. But the real challenge is doing this consistently and at scale, and that is where the bottlenecks appear. Here are some of the areas that slow down a typical SEO project. The first one is optimizing existing content. Content needs to be refreshed on a regular basis to avoid content decay and slipping down the rankings. And this is even more essential in the age of AI SEO, because these models really put a great importance on fresh content. So, whereas in the past, you might have refreshed your blog posts every 2 months, for example, in AI SEO, I recommend refreshing them every 3 to 4 weeks to really keep things cutting edge. So that is a huge bottleneck for many teams. And obviously, creating new content is another huge sticking point. All those blog posts used to take a lot of time to do manually. And even if you use ChatGPT or Claude to help you work through them step by step, it can still be kind of time consuming if you don't have a proper framework to follow. That is definitely a sticking point for the average project. Another one is monitoring conversations. Now, platforms like Reddit or Quora surface a lot of useful questions that feed directly into AI models, but tracking them manually is a really slow and inconsistent process. And the final one is repurposing content at scale. Turning a single piece of content into LinkedIn posts, tweets, or YouTube scripts, for example, usually requires a whole team. But it's essential in the age of AI SEO to have that brand universe across the internet. So you can no longer rely on just having blog posts. Content repurposing is essential. So in the old world of SEO, tasks like these already stretched resources for teams and small operators. But in AI SEO, they can become outright bottlenecks, mainly because the pace of change is just so much faster. So one of the hardest parts of SEO, and now AI SEO, is keeping up with new conversations happening across the internet. And Reddit is especially important here for 2 main reasons. So first of all, AI models extract a lot of their training data from Reddit. It's likely because Reddit is seen as an unbiased source, which still hasn't been corrupted too much by people writing content for affiliate marketing on behalf of companies, and so on and so forth. If your brand is being mentioned on Reddit, it's really important to find out what's being said and what the sentiment is. So really something important that you should monitor, because those conversations are probably going to shape what AI models eventually say about your company. And secondly, the right subreddits are gold mines of real questions and pain points from your ideal clients. So tracking them is so valuable in helping you create content that's aligned with what people are actually asking. This is one of the automations that I'm using with my clients at the moment, and this is built in make.com. Let's zoom in a little bit so we can see more clearly. What this one does is it keeps an eye on subreddits on relevant topics to that client. So I can actually show you here in the spreadsheet what they are. So we've got about 10 of them here, and this is the starting point for the automation. So then every so often, I think every day at 1 p.m. at the moment, it checks those relevant subreddits and it looks for mentions of the client's brand name. This is all just technical stuff, how it's extracting the data and processing that data and sending it through the flow. And then importantly, it checks our spreadsheet in Google Sheets for duplicate posts. So just to make sure we're not repeating and going back on ourselves there. We have a filter step here to check if the post is new or not. If it is new, then it gets sent through to the next part of the flow, which is a ChatGPT module, which actually analyzes the sentiment of the Reddit post where the client's brand is found. That gives us a positive, negative, or neutral designation, just to help us get that extra sense of how the client's brand is being talked about. Once that's all done, it adds the new posts to our Google Sheet to keep track of them, and even pings the team in Slack just to let them know they're ready. And to show you what that looks like, we can jump back into our Google Sheet here. That's the subreddits, but here are the mentions. And as you can see, we've got quite a lot of data here: the subreddit, the title of the comment of the post, and the comment text. This is really important because, this is where people are going to start talking quite vigorously about their opinions on different aspects related to the original post, and this is where they can start mentioning the client's brand. I pulled a bunch of them here, and we've also got the sentiment: negative, positive, positive, and neutral. So it's just a simple Google Sheet at the moment, but using AI tools, it's also quite easy just to download this spreadsheet and pump it into ChatGPT or Claude and ask it to pull together a report for the client for that month's sentiment on Reddit, for example. So yeah, that's how it works. I put this together because I couldn't find any tool that did this easily, and it was much more straightforward just to build this myself in Make. Okay, so Make.com is amazing, but not every part of AI SEO works best in this automated workflow format. There are some tasks that I find works better with a different approach. And a lot of the time for this is where I use custom AI projects, either in ChatGPT or in Claude. Let me now jump in and just walk you through an example. Okay, so the second really important tool that I use all the time, my AI SEO work, is a custom-built Claude project that optimizes existing content to perform in AI search. And I'm going to show you how it works here. So first of all, I'll walk you through what the prompt looks like. It took me quite a long time to build this. What I did was I pulled together, I think, about 10 different journal articles that were analyzing what AI search favors and what factors are most important in content. I made like a kind of meta-analysis, and I pulled together all these articles in Claude, and I got Claude to analyze and extract a master list of recommendations to use in this optimizer. So I'll just quickly show you what the prompt looks like. This is a Claude project, and it's like it's like the equivalent of a GPT in ChatGPT. Basically a place to pull together like a certain set of tasks so you can use it over and over again. And the instructions area here is where you put the prompt. So let me just quickly show you this. Here is the role for what it should be doing. As you can see, this is a very detailed prompt, and yeah, it's a pretty long one. These are the 10 factors that I extracted from the academic research. As you can see, there's a lot of things here. It tells it how to restructure for semantic chunking, which is a concept that helps AI systems understand your text more easily. Provides specific reorganization steps. Produce the fix list, and also to prioritize it, which is important. With quick wins, we've got depth and enrichment, priority number 2, and priority number 3 for advanced AI optimization. Then I tell it how to do the output format. So basically to give it an overall score out of 50. Add the prioritized fixed list with detailed steps on what to do, and even provide snippets of draft copy for things like the answer box, the FAQs, and so on. But then I give it the rules. So, be actionable and actually tell us what to write instead of just suggesting it. And make sure it's outputted in a format I can copy paste directly into Google Docs. I pack a lot in here because I want to make it as comprehensive as possible so that the output is pretty much 95% good to go. So that's the instructions. So I'm going to demonstrate on my own website here, and we'll see what kind of score I get for one of my blog posts. Let's grab one. I'm going to grab this one because I don't think I slightly optimized it already for AI search. So what I'm going to do is just grab a PDF of that, save as PDF. So we get the whole thing like that and just throw it into my downloads folder. And then we go over to the Search Content Optimizer project and we upload that file as a PDF. Claude can handle really long files now, so don't worry if your blog post is 3,000 or 4,000 words. This should be able to handle it. We just give it a simple instruction. Please analyze this blog post and give. Okay, that should be all. And I'm going to actually change the model. So right now it's Claude Sonnet 4, which is a powerful model, and I really like it, but I'm going to give it the most powerful one of all, which is Opus 4.1, to make sure it really makes the most of this analysis and gives us as much actionable stuff as possible. So with that done, I'm going to click enter and let's see what it comes back with. It's ruminating, so it's going to take a few minutes to do this, but it should be an interesting result. Okay, so as you can see, it's jumped in already and it's starting to give its evaluation. So I scored 32 out of 50, which is not too bad considering I don't think I really worked hard to optimize this one. So yeah, not too bad. So as you can see, a category breakdown of my individual scores in all these different areas that are important for AI SEO, semantic chunking analysis, reorganization recommendations, and the prioritized fixed list here with the quick wins. Some FAQs that I ought to add, and the advanced optimization steps. Then finally, okay, it's still generating. It's giving me the draft copy here, which is pretty nice. I always love the way Claude writes. It's just, to me, it's way more authentic than ChatGPT's style, and it's like a little bit less annoying, which is always good. Okay, so as you can see, there is a lot of information to act on here. What I would do with this if I was working with a client would be just to copy paste like all of this stuff and just put it into a Google Doc and send that to them as a evaluation, as a report, or use it in a client presentation. Because yeah, this is quite complicated, so they would benefit a lot from having me to walk them through it and to demystify it for them and so on. But another really valuable way to use this is once you've downloaded it, so open up Google Docs, get a new one, and there we go. So we've got like a 5-page report here. And what I can do is just download that as a PDF, and then I can plug it into another project that I created, which is I'll cover in depth in another video, but put that in complete with the original blog post and actually ask Claude to make the fixes and regenerate the original blog post with all the fixes made. So I've actually been fine-tuning that exact project for a client, and I'll cover it in detail in one of my next videos. That's how it works. So these are 2 really useful AI-assisted workflows. Not everything has to be automated, like, in sequence, like in make.com. It just depends on the nature of the thing that you want to achieve. The Reddit thing was a very good fit for an automation workflow, but for this kind of blog post analysis, I don't think there's much need to force it into make.com. It works pretty well if you just jump into Claude, have the project already set up for you, and just grab your blog post as a PDF and plug it in and get those recommendations. I've just walked you through 2 examples of very different systems for different aspects of AI SEO. One of them built in Make and another one in Claude. They solve different problems, but together these systems show how I approach my AI SEO projects. Workflows are usually best for repeatable tasks, but custom AI projects are better for things that require deeper analysis and some level of human judgment. And it's strategy that ties everything together to make sure that these systems drive real and tangible results for clients, because that's what it's all about, right? And the real value in all of this stuff comes from selecting the right kind of AI system for the right task, not just from linking apps together for the sake of automating everything. In 2025, traditional SEO is shifting into AI SEO, where visibility for your brand depends on whether or not AI models surface your content or mention your brand. Traditional processes that are very manual make that hard to scale, but automation and AI-assisted systems really change the equation by handling the heavy lifting and freeing me up to focus on strategy. In this video, I showed you 2 examples from one of my live client projects, but in the rest of this series, I'm going to walk you through more of the systems that I use and explain exactly how they fit into a comprehensive AI SEO project as a whole. So if you run an agency or a SaaS company and you want to explore this for your business, feel free to get in touch through my website. You can find the link in the description. And if you want to see more of these systems in action, I would love it if you would subscribe to the channel. And finally, I'm also building a community around AI automation and visibility, where I'll be sharing resources and systems like these in more detail and teaching you how to install them in your business. That link is also in the description. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.